Hello everyone, it's Jamal Thomas. Welcome to the Progressive Soapbox. So apparently, there was another riot at Berkeley. Let's take a look.
I want to take you now to Berkeley, California, where we're seeing violent demonstrations underway at this hour. These are clashes. They're competing between political rallies, two of them in the city. Some are pro-Trump, the others are anti-Trump. And some of these have been staged really asking for President Trump to release his tax returns ahead of next week's, of course, National Tax Day. I'm joined on the phone by KCBS radio reporter Jenna Lane in Berkeley. Jenna, we're seeing these violent images. It appears to be a dumpster that's being pushed around. What can you tell us?
Rena, there's been a number of things that have unfolded over this changing situation throughout the morning. It all started when some supporters of President Trump announced plans to have several speakers address a crowd at noon. Well, a group calling itself mostly anti-fascist showed up around 10 o'clock to make sure that people would know that not everyone in Berkeley supported these speakers. Police set up some plastic barricades and no man's land between those two crowds. They shouted at each other for the better part of a couple of hours. Some eggs and bagels were tossed from one side to the other.
You guys did this over taxes? Are you serious? You're pushing around trash cans over taxes. Guys, I have to be honest, man. This is kind of ridiculous. I'm not against protests, so don't misunderstand me. Protests are perfectly fair game. Perfectly fine. But if you're going to put that much energy into it, shouldn't it be for something a little bit more oomph in it? I think of all the issues that present in our society. And the thing that compelled you to get out of bed this morning and to push a trash can around and to say bad, angry words at your fellow human beings was taxes. We want to see Trump's taxes. Not, this president has been murdering people left and right. That's not enough of a reason to get out of bed. This president is blocking Muslims from coming into the country. Now, you did go to the airport for that. But you didn't care when the last guy was actually murdering those Muslims. Do you see my point? I'm getting the point. I'm trying to get this point across in the sense of gravity and actual issues as opposed to optics. This is optics. It's ridiculous optics. It's one group saying that I love Pepsi tremendously. And the other person saying, you're an asshole if you love Pepsi. God damn it, I love Coke. That's what's taking place. And in fighting over these soda brands, they're literally pushing trash cans and throwing stuff at each other. This is absurd. I'm sorry, this is absurd. Again, I'm not against your protests. Protests. Do your thing. I'm making the point that you should have been doing a lot more of these a long time ago, before we've gotten to the point where we are now. For instance, when Obama signed the NDAA, locking up American citizens, why aren't you out here rioting over that? Or when they're talking about these drone wars, or even, hell, college loans that directly affects you. College loans, I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's in the trillions of dollars at this point. Your adults, your elders, they scam you in a way. They set a program in place where they can say, if you want this degree, you're going to give me $50,000 to get it. Now, other countries full well recognize that a college education doesn't just help the individual, it also helps the society. And even if it did only help the individual, so what? So what? That particular person is going to give back certain things to that particular society. He may start a company. He will be able to fill those particular jobs in that particular technical profession. It gives back to the society. Our society looks at it and says, we're going to punish people for trying to do this. And understand, it's not so much that it's a punishment. It's a business opportunity. Meaning you're being used. Your future is being used for somebody else's business opportunity. And that money isn't going into, a life. It's not going into a wedding. It's not going into a car. It's not going into a house. It's going into a bank. That's not part of the economy for the most part. My point is, that's something to protest over. To be getting screwed over on a massive scale all across the country, that is something to protest over. His taxes. I understand you want to see them. And yes, it has value in seeing them. But of the 20 items that I can think of to get out of bed in the morning, that would get me wearing a mask and get me pushing a trash can around, taxes aren't on that list. Taxes aren't on that list. I'm not trying to take the piss out of you for it. It's perfectly fine. I love your spirit. But taxes, that's all I'm getting at. Think of all the things that has taken place. Destruction of the EPA. The fact that Trump is going to give massive tax cuts to the people who essentially gave him money to put in office. The people he put in these cabinet positions. The fomenting the war with North Korea, Iran, and now even sending strikes to Syria. But no. You've solved the real issue. Taxes. Taxes. Okay. Alright guys, if you enjoyed the content, feel free to write. And look, I don't mean to poke fun at these guys. It's just, I saw this and I'm like, they're doing this over taxes. Why are they doing this over taxes? I can understand the Democrats paying people to do this over taxes. So don't misunderstand me on that point. If it was one of those things where they wanted to get kind of like a political stunt of sorts, I could see that. But this was all across the United States. So I don't think this was necessarily just, this particular one is at Berkeley. But there were tax protests all across the United States. It just seems, in a sense of priorities, I can see the Democratic Party using that as a gimmick to kind of poke fun at him. I can totally see that. But the idea that you had American citizens, flesh and blood, workers, get up out of bed that morning, run out in public in order to fight somebody else, demanding to see the president's taxes. That's amazing. I'm sorry, that's just amazing to me. Alright guys, if you enjoyed the content, feel free to write, share, and subscribe. You can always support the work through Patreon. Thanks. Hey guys, I'm looking for what's causing that hiss. So if you're still hearing it, I'm totally sorry. I absolutely apologize. I'm looking into it. I believe it's some kind of feedback in the equipment itself, but I'll find it. Thanks, guys.